Guys, if I go out there and walk up to another grown-ass man that's also 6 foot tall, whatever, and I jump on this dude and I knee him while he's on the ground in his sack, all right? Just like Alyssa Thomas kneed Caitlin Clark in her privates, viciously.
That visual tells a story that words often fail to capture. When you see physical contact like that on a basketball court, it isn't just about the play. It is about the threshold of what the league deems acceptable. The tension boiling over in Indiana right now has moved well beyond simple on-court competition and into a territory where fans are questioning the very foundation of player safety and organizational responsibility.
I mean, fans aren't having it. Stop pretending to care about women. You don't. It's obvious you're trying to give Caitlin Clark's career-ending injuries. What a bunch of hateful liberal women.
This reaction from the fan base didn't emerge in a vacuum. It is a direct response to a mounting series of incidents that have left viewers feeling that the league's response to the physical treatment of Caitlin Clark has been reactive rather than preventative. When fans talk about boycotting, they aren't just expressing frustration with a single game. They are signaling a deep-seated dissatisfaction with how the Fever front office and the wider WNBA structure are handling their most prominent asset.
Versus Los Angeles. Caitlin Clark out back. Tony, status report fans out. Fatigue. I will give my boy, the good sir known as Ben Daniel, props. Even though we heard what Stephanie White had to say today, we knew Caitlin Clark was going to be out.
The injury report released before the matchup against the Los Angeles Sparks was the tipping point. For those who aren't deeply embedded in the day-to-day news cycle, an out status for a headlining player is a massive blow to the league's primary product. But here, the conversation shifted from the logistics of recovery to the ethics of the situation. People aren't just asking if she will play, they are asking how she got to a point where her health is compromised in the first place.
Carlos Garcia, wrong reason. The report should say, Caitlin Clark out, assaulted. And this is the problem with all the nitwits and losers and wimps and the P words that are following and covering the club.
The critique of the media covering the team is just as sharp as the critique of the league. There is a prevailing sentiment among a vocal segment of the fan base that the traditional sports media has been hesitant to address the physicality toward Clark, with the same intensity they would apply in other sports leagues. When observers call out nitwits and losers in the media, they are effectively demanding a more rigorous, independent standard of reporting that doesn't prioritize access over accountability.
Kathy Engelbert, they're not. You know, Coach Anderson reached out to me right before I hit record, and he said, is it possible that Stephanie White ran her mouth to DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, when she was coaching the Connecticut Sun about Caitlin Clark? And I said, well, she could have done that. She also could have run her mouth to Lisa Salters, who works in the media for a network in which we've seen ESPN have a lot of Caitlin Clark haters. What's really going on here? I'm going to tell you who's also very, very guilty here. Aaron Kane.
This brings us to the core of the current crisis, which revolves around leadership and accountability. Whether it is the role of head coach Stephanie White, the front office decisions under Amber Cox, or the overarching policies managed by Kathy Engelbert, the demands from the fans have become singular. They want a clear structural change. The frustration isn't merely that games are being lost or that stars are sidelined. It is that the individuals responsible for maintaining the integrity and safety of the league are, in the eyes of these fans, failing to protect the talent that is driving the league's current popularity. At the heart of this issue is the question of league culture. When you look at the progression of the season, There has been a recurring debate about how the WNBA has handled the transition into its new era of mass popularity. The critics argue that the league has been trying to manage a business-as-usual approach, while the game itself, and the expectations of its viewers, has fundamentally shifted. Think about the position this puts the team in. By allegedly failing to adequately address these physical incidents, the organization is caught between satisfying longtime followers and protecting the investment they have in a player like Caitlin Clark. Every time a narrative about safety goes unaddressed, it creates a vacuum that is quickly filled by fan-driven conspiracies and public outcry. The role of the agent, Erin Kane, has also come under scrutiny in this environment. When fans call for a change in representation, they are essentially asking for a more aggressive advocate who will put pressure on the league to ensure their client is not subjected to what they characterize as unnecessary physical risk. It is a classic move in sports history. When the infrastructure fails to provide security, the pressure mounts on the individual's inner circle to find a solution. And here is the reality about the broadcast and media access. When fans feel that the media is essentially soft on the league to maintain their credentials, they lose trust in the entire ecosystem. This is why you see such a surge in independent creators. They aren't beholden to the league's press passes, allowing them to voice the frustrations that the traditional media outlets might shy away from. Watch the reaction to the injury news again. It isn't just sadness. It is a calculated detachment. Fans are actively opting out of the product because they feel the league is failing to stand up for the very person they are tuning in to see. That is a dangerous place for any sports organization to be, as it essentially commodifies the player while neglecting her physical well-being. Now compare that to how other leagues, like the NBA or even international soccer, handle player protection. When a star is targeted, there is an immediate, visible, and often punitive response from the league office. The lack of a similar, overt reaction from the WNBA in this context is what many fans point to as the smoking gun for their argument. The irony of Inspiring Women Night being presented while the league is embroiled in these controversies about safety is not lost on the audience. It creates a tonal dissonance that makes the league look disconnected from its own reality. When you are celebrating the strength of your players, but the same players are complaining about violence and lack of protection, the marketing message loses all credibility. What makes this situation particularly volatile is the speed at which this is spreading. Because of the digital age, a single clip of an on-court collision can reach millions of people within hours. The league is no longer operating in a silo. They are operating under a microscope where every decision is dissected in real time by a global audience that is far more invested in the star than in the traditional team hierarchy. This dynamic is going to continue to be a defining storyline for the rest of the season. If the league continues on its current path, they risk alienating the very demographic that is driving their record-breaking ratings. The question then becomes, can they afford to ignore the demand for change, or will the pressure finally force a structural overhaul from the top down? So the question remains, if you were in the league office, would you prioritize the status quo to appease the traditionalists? Or would you take the radical step of enforcing strict protections to appease the new, record-breaking audience? You cannot do both. And the silence from the top is becoming increasingly loud. Tell me, do you believe the league can survive this friction, or are we witnessing the inevitable breakdown of a model that refused to evolve? Let me know your take in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the state of the WNBA.